Toffer, and welcome as ever to my spare room. Now today's actually episode 1 of a series I'm going to do where I'm going to go through every system I own and talk about my top 5. My top 5 favourite games from that system. So today, console number 1 is actually going to be kind of the first console I ever owned. PlayStation 1. Through my childhood, my parents weren't really console and computer game people. They didn't really like them. But that didn't stop me owning gaming systems of sorts. I was brought up on the likes of the Commodore BBC, the Commodore 64, the Commodore Amiga. We were a Commodore family. And I played some amazing games on those systems. I always wanted to own a console because I knew people that had a SNES, had a Mega Drive, had a NES, everything like that. And whenever I went over, all I wanted to do was to put a controller in my hand and play something, not a joystick. It just felt nice. I just wanted to experience that. And I didn't get that chance until PlayStation 1. I managed to get one before Christmas one year, and it changed my gaming life. So I'd like to talk about my favourite 5 games from that system that I adore. Now I know this originally came out on the Dreamcast, but I only ever owned it on the PlayStation, but Grandia, for me, was one of my favourite RPGs. The story just kept me going back to it. I loved the characters, I loved the battle style. I especially loved the battle style once I figured how pretty much how to break it, but the voice acting, while I look at it now and it's incredibly annoying, I adored back then. Yeah, because I just love this game. So basically, Grandia is just the story of a kid called Justin who wants to go on an adventure. It's in typical RPG fashion. The adventure turns into saving the world from the apocalypse due to bad people that want to do something that's going to bring down God and all of this kind of stuff. It's your typical RPG fare. It's just delightful. The animation style is really simplistic but works so well with the game. Again, going back to the voice acting, for the most part it's okay. There's a few characters that are pretty atrocious. The one that you kind of start off with as your side companion, so the most annoying, whiny, brattish voice going, works perfectly for the character, but my god does it get irritating. Thankfully she leaves about halfway through the story. I got this recently on Switch as a HD remaster, played through it again. It's a lot more simplistic than I remember it being, but I still enjoyed every aspect of it, and now it's a game I'll play again. Now I've got a lot of memories of Silent Hill. Me and my brother used to play this quite a bit. Well, I say we would play this. He would play this. I'd be the annoying little brother, sat there trying to help figure out puzzles or pointing out the shiny object over in the corner there you'd missed. But I just sit and watch him play. It just fascinated me, this game where horrific things were happening. We were both getting terrified by stuff happening and got really annoyed with that flipping piano puzzle. But it's always just stuck with me and I love the game. I have completed it myself many years later. I did actually get around to completing this myself. But it's always just been a game in a series that I've always thoroughly enjoyed. So Silent Hill, you're basically playing as Harry Mason as you're trying to find your missing daughter who's gotten lost in Silent Hill, a town that you've just kind of woken up in after a small accident. Everything's weird looking, there's weird creatures around, and every now and then the entire world just goes black and metal and girders and steel wire and all of this kind of stuff everywhere, and monsters are coming out for you. It's very Resident Evil in the way it plays. It's very typical tank controls. It's got a couple of nice little tweaks where if you're running and you run into a wall, Harry will put his hands up and kind of push himself back off the wall. It's just kind of a nice little touch. But it was a great puzzle-based game. Harry is just an everyman and he's got guns and such to his disposal, but he doesn't really know what he's doing with them, so his stance is weird, he misses quite regularly and stuff like that. It works very, very well. Thoroughly enjoyed that game. The most realistic car graphics I've ever seen in a video game when it came out. I still remember playing this when it first came out, just looking at the game, looking at the cars and just, my god, they're photorealistic. They look amazing. And playing now, they just look like cardboard boxes. It's amazing how technology's moved on, but it was just such a good game. had to go through the licenses to be able to do certain things. Incredibly frustrating when you're pretty poor at driving games. So you can't really get the top level licenses unless you're absolutely amazing. But that was kind of a great way of doing easy, normal, hard, extreme kind of level difficulties without choosing. It was just a case of, if you're good enough, you can do this. But even if you weren't good enough, we're still going to give you an absolute load of content. Don't get that these days. Gran Turismo is such a huge series. I don't think anyone expected it to grow as big as it is. And the fact that they can get away with huge gaps between releases kind of tells you how big it is and how much it sells and how well it does each and every year. And it started from this. Still remember the Gran Turismo 2 had a scratch and sniff disc. How weird's that? You knew it was going to be in here. This is one of the best action games that was ever created. Still now, one of the best action games ever created. It still holds up, and I don't think there's going to be a lot about this game that's not going to hold up. A lot of PlayStation games haven't aged well. The graphical style looks quite dated now, especially when you compare it to like your SNES and even PlayStation 2. They've aged, but this still looks good. The story, the characters, everything about it was brilliant. I still remember the time the demo came out for it and I didn't get it. Still kind of being reasonably new to video game consoles and all that kind of stuff, as I said earlier on. The demo came out and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was running up to the enemies and just punching them because I didn't realise you could grab them and choke them and do everything like that. And it was actually my schoolmate, Oliver, actually one of my subscribers as well, who said, "Chris, you can do this." And I went home, played the demo again, knowing this ability, and it's just spectacular. Now, Metal Gear Solid really kicked off stealth video games to the level they are now. I personally believe that most video games that have got a stealth feature to them these days are basically trying to copy Metal Gear in one way, shape or form. Some do it well, some not so well. It was amazing to see you playing a video game that was an action movie from start to finish, and not a movie in terms of your David Cage Heavy Rains and things like that. It was an actually fully interactive piece. You felt like you were playing a film, and I know the game takes about 10 hours to complete, I'd say, but you never felt like you were playing it for that long, but at the same time it felt so much longer. Gotta love these time paradoxes. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a great game, and they then somehow made it even better when they re-released it on the GameCube as Twin Snakes. You had the Metal Gear Solid 2 graphics in the PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solid game, and it was just brilliant. I never get bored of it. You knew it was coming. It's the first RPG I ever played. Similar to a video I mentioned the other day about Resident Evil. When I first played that, I was in a house all on my own. I played this that night as well, and I sat and played from the beginning of the game all the way up to climbing the wall in Midgar in one playthrough. And I couldn't save it because I was at my brother's. I was never going to be able to get another save, get a copy of that save file, and by the time I got around to owning a PlayStation anyway, I'd have forgotten it all regardless. But I put hours into this game. I've replayed it multiple times, and it never gets boring. It had to be number one. It's Final Fantasy VII. What have I got to say that others haven't? It's Final Fantasy VII. I even still have my original PlayStation covered in all the stupid stickers. Don't get that with many consoles these days, do you? Thank you very, very much for watching. I do thoroughly appreciate it. Now, if you can help me spread the word of my videos, I would thoroughly appreciate it. Leave a like, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, tell me about your favourite PlayStation games yourself. I already know a few that are going to get thrown at me by a few people that I already know. But if you could also do me a great favour, share this video around. I'd really appreciate it, because I am trying to do something with this channel and not just a time killer, really.